Hi, I'm Kelly, and welcome to the Singing Boston. It's November 1st today, and we're here in Colorado Springs. We've decided to do another mite treatment for our hives because when we've been pulling the bottom boards out the last couple of days, you can see beautiful sunny day here. So we've been pulling the boards out for ventilation. We haven't been happy with the number of mites that we've been seeing. We feel like they've been going up a little bit. And since we're getting ready to button them up for the winter, we decided to go ahead and do another series of treatments. We like to use the oxalic acid method. We took a class from Rocky Mountain Bee Supply a couple of years ago, and they heavily recommended it. It's a more natural approach than some of the others out there. Oxalic acid is actually found in low doses in rhubarb plants and in more natural cleaners such as Barkeeper's Friend, which I was surprised to see. And we've seen some real tragedy stories on some of the Facebook groups we're on with people using some of the various strips and other treatments out there, either because the directions weren't followed absolutely exactly and tragedy occurs if it's not, or it's just overpowered the hive and either killed the hive or they absconded. The OA treatment is more gentle. We totally understand that there's a school of thought out there that you make sure that you actually need mite treatments, doing alcohol washes or sugar shakes. Instead, we just assume that we have mites in there, and so we just treat 3 to 4 times a year. Spring for sure, usually sometimes late spring, fall, and now we're doing a late fall this year because we weren't happy with the number of mites that we were seeing. But because mites can be so very detrimental to the hive health, we feel it's really important to treat them, and we try and stay ahead of that. We try not to get behind it. So we don't want to get to the point where we pull out the bottom board and it's absolutely filled with mites. At that point, we may have gotten a little behind and we could end up losing the hive. And so what we do is we try and stay ahead of it. So that's kind of the school of thought we come from on that. We are going to treat every 5 days for 4 weeks. If this were in the spring or summer, we would do every 5 days for 5 weeks. The reason for the 4 weeks versus the 5 weeks is because of the drones. Well, right now, on November 1st, there should be almost no drone comb in there. So the worker bees will emerge after 21 days versus the drones who take 24 days. The reason that we do a series of treatment is the OA cannot penetrate capped brood. So if there was a cell that was capped yesterday and we treated with OA today, the OA can't penetrate that. So if there was a mite laid in there and that bee emerges 21 days later, then she's going to just reinfect the entire colony. Now, you're never going to get rid of all your mites. If you have bees, you have mites, pretty much no matter where in the world you live. But you can at least reduce them to the amount where a healthy hive can fight them off and sustain themselves. The 24 days for the drones is why we would add that 5th week in there if this were spring or summer. So they take longer to emerge, so you want to make sure that you catch them. Mites also prefer drones for some reason. I don't know why, to be honest. If you do know why, I would love if you would put a comment down in the descriptions below and let us know. So when you're treating with the OA, make sure that if you have a honey superon that has honey in it that is to be for human consumption, that you pull that off during the treatment. You can put it right back on when you're done. The time of day that you do your treatments is also really important. I know as beekeepers, we're used to working our hives in the middle of the day because we actually want the foragers out. In this case, we want the foragers home. So either go out first thing in the morning before they start flying for the day, or right at dusk when they're kind of tucking in for the evening. And that way you make sure that you get the maximum amount of bees covered with your OA treatment. We're going to walk you through exactly how we do it, but I'm also going to put up a sheet at the end of this video where you can take a screenshot on what the steps are and what the equipment is that we use. It might seem like the equipment is a little bit pricey compared to the strips, but really everything except the oxalic acid is one-time purchase. Just like if you buy a beehive, you only buy the hive once unless something breaks. And otherwise it's just the powder. And the size powder that you get, which costs about $15, is going to last you a really long time. So now we'll show you how we do our OA treatments. Here's the equipment that you'll need. Of course, your actual bag of oxalic acid, That's about $15. The application wand, this will be about $30 to $50. A towel to seal the hive. A block of wood to seal the hole on the top board. A respirator, this will be about $30 to $50. Your bee brush and hive tool. Motorcycle battery, that will run you about $50 to $75. And the charger for your motorcycle battery. A lesson you can learn from us is when you complete your hive treatments, charge your motorcycle battery every single time. We actually got 2/3 of the way through a treatment on treating all 3 of our hives and ran out of charge. So make sure that you charge it fresh each time. So you absolutely want to wear your respirator because while OA is an all-natural type thing, in the vaporized form, it's actually pretty toxic to humans. So even though we're going to go in when all the girls are home, which is early morning or in the evening, because you want everybody home so that they can get treated, the best way to protect yourself is to suit up every single time. So we have the bottom board in place right now. And if you can see, there's a mite right there. There's a couple of them. If this were spring or summer and we didn't have the bottom board in place, you want to make sure that you slide that in first. You have to have your hive totally sealed up to get the maximum benefit from the treatment. We take off the box where we're feeding. We're going to take off the feeder. This gives you a great opportunity to then clean your feeder as well. So you can see the gals up there. And so then this is where the bee brush is going to help us sweep the bees back down in there, or you can gently use your hand. Oop. Now we're going to load the vaporizer wand. It's 1 scoop per deep. So all of our hives have 2 deeps, so we're going to put 2 scoops. So you notice Nick kind of cleaned it out there. Between each treatment of each hive, you want to scrape that out because the oxalic acid needs contact with the metal in order to work. So there's 1 scoop and 2 scoops. That's for our 2 deeps. Kind of make sure that you spread it out a little bit there. And now we're going to go put it in the hive. We've got our bottom board in place. We've got our block on the hole of the top board. So you do have to pull out the reducer for this or it won't fit. That's where the towel is going to come into play. You slide in the wand. And now you're going to use your towel to cover up the front. So now we're really sealed off. Now we're going to let it vaporize after hooking it up to the battery for 3 minutes. So that's going to let the OA vapors permeate the entire hive. After it's running for 3 minutes, you leave it sit for 10. That allows the vapors to work on the mites before you pull everything out. So we vaporized for 3 minutes. So now we're going to unhook it and it's going to sit for 10 minutes all sealed up. You might notice the bee cozy we have on there. It's November 1st here in Colorado, so we've started our winterizing. So check out our winterize time video if you want to see more information about that. Nope. There it is. We've now sat for 10 minutes, so now we're going to pull off the towel and pull out the OA wand. If all went well, the wand will be empty. And you'll notice it is. That's how we found out the value of making sure that your battery is charged in between the treatments. Not between each hive, but between treating all your hives. We pulled it out and it was still half full of OA powder, so it had not vaporized and actually made it into the hive. If you do have a few bees on there, don't worry. It's the guard bees doing their job. They're trying to get the OA wand out, but they move off of it right away. Again, clean it before heading on to your next hive. So now we're going to put everything back together. We're going to put our feeder back on. Put the super box around the feeder. And we're going to repeat this whole thing with our other 2 hives. As always, please let us know if you have any questions. If you liked this video and found it useful, I hope you'll give it a like. And please subscribe to our channel so we can keep you in the loop when we do future upcoming videos.